I attended AA at Lutheran Church of the Cross in Altoona. Um, so I went with Carly Channing and myself, and Carly and I were about to walk in, and we were kind of scared because, I don't know, we just didn't know what to expect. So we kind of hung out in the hallway for a little bit, and then we're like, okay, we just got to go in. So then we went in, and um, I I guess I already had like an idea in my mind of what it was going to be like. And so I was like, oh, this is going to be awful, like a bunch of drunks basically. And then when we walked in, like they were so welcoming. And the week before, I think some other students went, and so they kind of really welcomed us and were like, it's great that you nurses are coming, like um, very welcoming and very friendly. And so there were like some older gentlemen, older women, and then there were a couple of younger people, like 20s or 30s. And originally, when I walked in, I thought there was a young lady, she was probably like older 20s. I thought that like she was the meeting leader. I guess I didn't know like how AA meetings worked. But so I thought she just led the whole group, and then turns out she was an alcoholic, and that caught me off guard because I guess ev- I don't want to be like mean or anything, but everyone I guess kind of looked like an alcoholic, and that's where it kind of hit me was like I can't judge people based on what they look like because I don't actually know the person, and so all of them were like older and they all had their stories. Um, but I just, I guess, already had this thing in my mind of how it was going to be and what they were going to be like, rather than just going in with no idea of what was going to happen, no preconceived notions. Um, so previous thoughts and feelings were challenged because I thought I knew what I was getting into, and I was like, this is going to be an hour and it's going to be awful, and I'm just going to hear these drunks just like talk about their issues. But actually, it was everyone had like a different story and like how they got through it of having a higher power, and it wasn't just God. Um, it was some people weren't even like religious, so that caught me off guard, and it kind of like um, I don't know, it kind of hit me because I'm a Christian, and so I'm like, they really depend on a higher power in order to fight the battle of wanting to have a drink every single day. And so then I was like, I need to implement that into my life. Um, what recovery principles did you identify? Just that people took it one day at a time. They relied on each other. They were sponsors. So when you start, like there's a sponsor that you're with. So if you're having a hard time, then you just make a phone call. And I thought that was really neat because most of the time you're just going to go to the drink and no one around you, your family's not going to understand. Um, Also, a lot of them said how they were in denial and they didn't have a problem. And then one person was in the hospital and they were like, I have an issue. And then they wanted to get help. Another one, their family was no longer like, they didn't have a good relationship. And the things that they were doing while they were drinking um, really set them straight. So the client or the patient that I was really intrigued by was a younger girl, just because I looked at her and she looked like a normal person. She looked exactly like me, and I would have never thought that she was an alcoholic because I thought she was the leader of the meeting. But she was an alcoholic, and she would hide it from her friends. She said only her close friends knew that she was an alcoholic, and she would be very secretive about what she was doing. And so I guess my priority nursing diagnosis would be altered family process, just because her family doesn't know, or maybe they did, I don't know. She just mentioned her friends, but that could ruin like her relationships within her family. Also, like trusting each other, because she would lie about it, how she was going to act, how she's going to treat her family and friends. I think in this stage where she's in sobriety, I think that like a risk for relapse, because she is younger. She did say that Monday before the meeting, she went out to the bar and her friends and boyfriend were drinking and just having like a good time. And she didn't have a beer, but I feel like that would be really hard as an alcoholic in sobriety, because you're around like people that are drinking and they look like they're having fun, and then you have a past experience with it, and you could just relapse right away. So I feel like that would be really hard, just all your friends wanting to go out and party or have a drink, and then you can't because it goes way too far. How will this experience impact, change, or support your nursing practice? I think this will change because I won't judge a person when I go into their room or what their story is. Everyone is different, and it's not just what they look like or what I think they're going to be like. I really have to get to know the patient and understand their side and put my judgment and my bias away from it. So I think this was really cool, because when I was sitting in the meeting, my dad is actually an alcoholic and he's in denial, and my brother and I have mentioned things to him multiple times. So I thought like it was interesting for me as a daughter that like how could I get my dad to come to one of these meetings and get help. And so then that was really neat from the people in the group, is I was like, how would you confront a family member and maybe mention it? And so one of them gave me like a couple pamphlets, and so I thought that was interesting. But overall, it really changed how I view, I guess, people and what I hear. And it's really going to make me take my judgment out of my nursing practice and my bias.